Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Goldfinger, starring Sean Connery, Honor Blackman, Phoebe Gert, Harold Sakata, Bernard Lee, and Lois Maxwell, and directed by Guy Hamilton. Let's just get straight into this review because I already brought up a number of times of my new place. James Bond, returned by Sean Connery, comes out of the water on a mission to plant a bomb at Spectre and joins the party as it explodes. And James does some unfinished business and fights a bad guy. And that one line he says after he kills the bad guy, shocking, is a groaner. But I was engaged during that opening sequence until that line. We get to Miami Beach. I love those shots, particularly a guy jumping from the highest dive at the pool, and Felix Leiter finds James at the pool and asks for his help to find a villain called Goldfinger, played by Phoebe Gert. And this is reminding me of what Austin Powers will do in the third film, Austin Powers and Goldmember. But he goes into his henchman woman, Jill's hotel room and smooches her up until Goldfinger paints her gold, and this is the first 007 movie I feel the most engaged on. Back in London, which looks very good in this movie, James reports to MI6 about how Goldfinger kills Jill and knocks James out, and is asked what does he know about gold, as he asks Moneypenny the same question and has a business appointment with MI6 and the English government, and gets some pretty good cool gadgets. For example, a bulletproof car and a magnetic chip. And I love the design of that car. I thought it was pretty damn neat, particularly since the car has a way to put out machine guns on the car. Holy cow, was that cool! James and Goldfinger meet for the first time, play golf as Goldfinger is cheating as James stands on the ball, and Goldfinger loses the match. And Goldfinger has a butler who is a big and Asian and has a menacing hat. Reminds me of what Austin Powers will go through in one of the movies. As James follows Goldfinger and a woman rudely passes by him, and as James crashes into her car because she was shooting at James, as she's Goldfinger's spy, and drops her off at the nearest gas station, or so I thought. I'm talking about the Goldfinger spy thing. And I'm liking Goldfinger and his menacing assistant. They're actually pretty good Bond villains. James goes after Goldfinger, and so does the woman who turns out she's Jill's sister. And Jill, remember her from the beginning of the movie? Yes, they're sisters of the girlie that got covered in gold by the end of that beginning scene. And she wasn't trying to shoot James, she was trying to shoot Goldfinger. And I like that twist. It sure as hell fooled me. Goldfinger's assistant captures James and traps him with the laser that he can't come out of. And the iconic line, "You expect me to talk?" "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die," said by Sean Connery and Phoebe Gert, is one of the best lines in this movie. And he's let James go, but James wakes up meaning Pussy Galore. That's her name. I'm not giving you the wrong idea here. Played by Honor Blackman, pointing a gun at him. And I'm liking all this thus far. And James' suit survives with him. And I do like the flight attended by Pussy Galore. And no, I'm not saying it in an inappropriate way. That's her name. Is reluctant to save to Bond so far, but she'll get to him eventually, and that's classic James Bond at best. They trap James in a prison cell. James and Pussy Galore eventually get to know each other by flipping each other over as they make up. And I knew from that moment they said it on the credits that she's playing the Bond girl, and her plans are to poison everyone in town with the army, and all this is typical James Bond, but I like it in general. The army wakes up to find the bomb is near them, and Goldfinger traps James, and the war between the army and Goldfinger's men begins while James is trapped and one of his men tries to stop the bomb. And James grabs the key as Goldfinger's butler fights James until James throws his hat and electrocutes and fries the butler while on the cell. And James tries to stop the bomb, but Felix helps him turn the damn thing off. And James goes on the plane to Washington, D.C. as Goldfinger's son comes and tries to kill James. And as it turns out, Pussy Galore was flying the plane. He gets trapped on an island, and that ending I could dig with, because that's a good ending. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 7.8 out of 10. I dig this movie as James Bond, as there were a couple of times I noticed Austin Powers references, but I like Sean Connery in this. I like the Bond girl and I like the villain of this movie. I was really engaged with this movie, as I was mostly entertained. So I would like to thank you guys for joining me, and next week I will be back with, which is the next Bond film? It will be Thunderball, I want to say? Let me look. Thunderball. And until next time, the name's Bond. James Bond.